The biggest lie that photographers believe about hybrid shooting photo and video is that you have to choose between getting the moment on photo or getting it on video. You just need to plan about what shots you're taking to tell the best possible story, and you need to get quick at toggling between the two mediums. In this episode, I'm breaking down the exact way I think on a wedding day, so I'm never guessing and never scrambling. I prioritize the photo first, I lock in the framing, and then I grab a quick set of 5 to 8 second clips from that same moment. I prioritize wide shots, long shots, close-ups, details, and B-roll, so I have everything I need to tell a story later. This is not about turning yourself into a filmmaker overnight. It's about realizing you already know how to see these scenes. You just need to capture a tiny bit of motion while you're there. The best part is that your photo galleries get stronger too because you start thinking more intentionally about coverage instead of just reacting. If you've been convinced that you cannot hybrid shoot photo and video because you're scared of missing something, this is the episode where that excuse dies. The meat of this episode was recorded live, and I'm calling these live episodes Hang with Shay. So if you want to hang with me next time to get all of your questions answered live, then please sign up. The link is in the description. Hybrid Hangout is literally what it sounds like. This is a place to hang out and talk about what it takes to build a photography business, especially if you're even a little bit curious about adding video. I'm Shay, and I'm so stoked that you've come to hang out with me and talk about the stuff I'm already thinking through after a week of running my photo video business. Here you're going to find conversations about why photographers are booked up and yet still so stressed about money, why being photo only has a financial ceiling, and why adding video is one of the simplest ways to raise your average booking without blowing up your workload. I shoot photo and video at weddings, sometimes solo, sometimes with a team, and I sell high packages because I'm selling photos and simple story-driven video with the equipment I'm already using. Hybrid Hangout is where I talk about how I do that, how I shoot hybrid photo video in a way that doesn't make the day harder, how I edit both mediums quickly without it taking over my life, how I package and price photo and video so it sells without feeling weird, how I market so things compound instead of resetting every month. There will be strategy. There will be rants. There will be very specific systems. There will be side quests about business, money, confidence, burnout, gear, clients, boundaries, and whatever else I'm deep into at the time. This podcast is about building a smarter photography business, one that includes motion and paying you better. If you like photography, you like money, and you like learning in a way that feels more like hanging out than being taught at, you will probably love Hybrid Hangout. So come on, let's hang out. When I first started doing photo and video, I thought the only way to do it right was to build a huge team. So 3 or sometimes 4 people, multiple cameras and lenses everywhere. On paper, it looked impressive, but in reality, it was kind of stressful. I was constantly trying to capture everything from every single angle. It was expensive, 1 for all the gear and 2 to pay everybody. And my couples looked like they were being followed by a huge paparazzi or documentary crew instead of just living their day. I hated the energy of it. Then I had a couple book an elopement where we were hiking 5 miles into a lake for their vows. I was super excited about the day, but they didn't have the budget for a full video team. So I asked if they would trust me to hybrid shoot solo so I could just create a simple highlight film. I put 1 camera on a log during their vows to record the ceremony, and for the rest of the day, I just shot the way I normally would. I prioritized the photo, then I grabbed little pieces of motion after I got the shot. Somewhere in the middle, I realized that this wasn't a stressful way to shoot at all. I wasn't trying to cover every possible angle. I was just paying attention to what actually mattered. When I got to the edit, it was the easiest edit I'd ever done. There was no scrubbing through 3 lines of the same thing from a different angle. There was no obsessing over tiny imperfections. It was just a clean, intentional story. That experience changed how I shoot. Now I have smaller teams, a simpler setup, and a way more focus on storytelling than volume of clips. That is what we're talking about today. How to shoot in a way that gives you everything you need without turning the day into a production.
Okay, this is the part of the show where we stop yapping, yapping, and actually learn something. Yapping and actually learn something. This segment is hybrid photo, video, business education, which is just a dramatic way of saying I'm teaching photographers how to scale their business with video. Pricing, packages, shooting, hybrid without overcomplicating it, editing without losing your mind, and marketing so people actually book it. No film bro energy, no gatekeeping, no posturing, just the stuff that work. All right, let's get into it.
Oh my gosh, that looks crazy. What is even happening? It's okay, it's part of the aesthetic. I could not be more excited for this. I am so stoked to yap at you for 20 to 30 minutes and then to open for Q&A at the very end. I am Shay. I'm the host of Hybrid Hangout, which is your favorite photography, videography podcast. And I have one goal and one goal only for today. And that is that you leave this free no pitch class understanding that it is absolutely possible to hybrid shoot photo and video at your elopements and weddings, and to feel like you served the hell out of your clients while doing so. So with that said, let's dive right into it. The first thing I want to do is count at you. Now that might sound silly, but let's just try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's throw in a 6 in there. Be so honest in the chat right now. Have you ever caught yourself shooting photos for that many seconds in a row at a wedding, elopement session, whatever? Have you ever held down the shutter for 5, 6, even 7 seconds and gotten home, gotten to calling, and went, what the fuck did I seriously just take the exact same photo 600 times? Kaylee says yes. We've gotten some nods already. I want to tell you that, first of all, if you've done that before, you're not alone. Every single photographer on the planet has caught themselves overshooting at a wedding, elopement, or session. Totally understandable, normal, especially since we're getting into more mirrorless cameras and more ability to constantly hold that shutter down and just shoot for seconds and seconds at a time. I feel like such a boomer whenever I host a Zoom meeting and I have to let people in. It's impossible for me to focus. So get ready for that as the stragglers come in. Hello. If you've ever found yourself overshooting photos, but you're also in a place where you really want to add in video, but you think it's so overwhelming in the moment trying to shoot just photos at my elopements and weddings, but you're also in that place where you've ever overshot photos, I want you to know that you absolutely can fit in the time for video, especially in the way that I'm suggesting today. The reason I say this is that if you're holding down that shutter button, if you're a nervous shooter, if you're overshooting, that means inherently you have the time to toggle over to video and to get 4, 5, 6 seconds of a video clip of what you just prioritized a photo. So if we can just get over that mental hurdle of, even if you're sitting there getting ready for the Q&A at the end, getting ready to argue about how it's not possible for you, I just want you to maybe sit in this idea that maybe, just maybe, if I'm overshooting a bit with photos, I can work in the time to get in at least one clip of the thing that I'm overshooting for photos. Now that we're over that mental hurdle, I also want to think about if we're worried about the process of hybrid shooting, if we're worried that we can't possibly prioritize both photo and video at our elopements and weddings, and we think there's no way we can tell a complete story and serve our clients, if we can possibly shift our focus from photo and video to just storytelling in general. Because there comes a point when we have all these reps in shooting, 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 where we understand how to anticipate what's going to happen, when we understand where the flow of a day goes, whether it's elopements or weddings, that it eventually becomes possible when we're adding in reps of another creative service where we can anticipate where some things can be prioritized over others, and it becomes really, really easy. We felt this anxiety with just photos, right? Whenever you're learning a new creative service and you're selling it. You probably felt at some point like you were a fish out of water, like it was really overwhelming, like it was super techy, like you were always overthinking your settings and what to do next. But then through reps and practice, you became a photographer who could change your settings based on the situation without even thinking about it, who can put your camera down and just take the time to notice things when there's a little bit of downtime and get beautiful candids. You became a person that could anticipate when something special was about to happen and be in the right place at the right time to get those beautiful shots that your clients so appreciate from you. You became the kind of storyteller and editor that could nail it every single time and tell a story in your signature style of photo. So I want you to open your mind up because you have the proof that you were able to do this thing with photo. So if we can just be open for this 20, 30 minutes to think that you can do the same thing with hybrid shooting, photo, and video. With all that said, I want you to know that I started as being a videographer, right? So it's backwards from all of you. I started as simply as you can possibly imagine with the shittiest cameras and lenses you can possibly imagine. My microphone systems have never been fancy. I've never been a person obsessed with the big rigs, thinking that you have to have a ton of techie stuff in order to be successful. I've always understood that if you put your work out there into the world, no matter how silly or simple that product might be in the practicing and beginning stages, I've always understood that the people who consume that content and then inquire already love what you do because that is what they're hiring you based off of. And so as my business has grown so organically and I've had the space and time to get better and better and better, because I am not a naturally talented videographer, I'm not a naturally talented photographer. I'm just a person who understands that when you put out your portfolio and you serve your people really, really well, and you deliver on what you promised, and it's either at the same level or exceeds expectations based off of your previous portfolio, and your clients are happy with the service you provide and you deliver on those promises, then your business will grow, period. Because I understand that, and I've seen it over and over and over again with my photographer friends who have added video, who've started with the most simple 30 to 60-second slideshow style videos and have expanded through the years and been able to get more and more complicated as they serve their clients. I've seen this work over and over and over again, that you can be nervous, but if you're willing to practice and you're willing to put your portfolio out there as you get better and better and better, and you allow your clients, your potential clients, your future clients to watch your journey as you progress, you cannot lose as a hybrid shooter. And the last thing I will say to this, just to open your mind even further that this is possible, is that even if you never sell a single video, the videos you produce by hybrid shooting turn into marketing content for your photo offers. No matter if you decide you want to be a photographer that sells video, whether that end product is a possibility for you or not, video can be the lever that scales your revenue in 2026, 2027, and 2028 just by nature of the fact that every single platform prioritizes video in every algorithm, and even Google owns YouTube. So the number one search engine in the world owns the number two search engine in the world. So understanding how to leverage video will scale your business whether you decide to sell it or not. With that said, what an introduction. I can barely breathe now. But with that said, you're here because I promised you that I would tell you exactly how I hybrid shoot at elopements with solo, so with just me, and with a two-person team at bigger weddings and larger projects. So I'm going to dive right into that. And then I want the rest of this to be an open conversation where you can feel free to throw every question, comment, concern at me. We can open the floor. So if other people have answers, I want you chiming in. It's always an open forum in my community. And with that said, let's get right into it. So the first thing I want you to remember when we're talking about hybrid shooting at elopements or weddings is understanding what we're trying to do with each shot that we're taking. I've had so many photographers add video and come back and tell me that their photo galleries are so much more dynamic because now they're thinking about how to tell a story and what they're trying to do with their photos as well as their videos. Have you ever looked at one of your galleries and thought, oh my gosh, this is the same focal length, the same framing, like for every single shot, and this is pretty boring? If that has ever been you, you're not alone. I found a lot of photographers feel very comfortable in a medium space where their subjects are taking up from head to toe a good portion of the framing with some space, negative space behind them, like that long shot framing. That is really typical for a photographer, especially in this practicing phase. When you add video and you're stringing these clips together in a row, that quickly becomes super, super boring. And so we have to come up with a system, no matter what scene we're in, for figuring out how to tell a well-rounded dynamic story without getting overwhelmed. What I've come up with is what I like to call the 5 clips challenge. If you've ever studied any sort of film or movies, if you've ever had a class on this in school, you will probably know that there's hundreds and hundreds of types of shots in film. Want to distill this to the most simple version of this idea possible so that we can repeat it again and again and again and remind ourselves to be dynamic storytellers in any situation. So those 5 shots are as follows. We have the wide shot, and the function of a wide shot is to orient the viewer in space, in time, and climate. So this wide shot, it answers a ton of questions about where we are as soon as the viewer sees it. So whatever scene you're in, I want you to look at it and think how you can capture it as widely as possible. And remember what sorts of questions those answer. How this lays out practically is most of us in this practice phase for hybrid shooting, we're being paid for photos, right? So how this works out is that I want you to prioritize that photo. Get the wide shot and feel confident that you got it. Toggle over to video and get 5 to 10 seconds of that same shot, but as a video clip. And then that first shot out of 5 is checked. Next, we're going in, right? So after the wide shot, we have the long shot. A long shot shows your subject moving within that space you just established. So the way this is defined just for the challenge is having your subject either from feet up or waist up, I don't really care, as long as it checks off that box of showing the subject within that space. Now we understand space, time, and climate, but we're also adding in how our subject moves within that space. It's just more questions that we're answering for the viewer. And once again, prioritize the photo and then get a 5 to 10 second clip for video. And then you guessed it, we're moving in even closer. So here's where we have close-ups or extreme close-ups. I want you to think about this as being very similar as this shot right here on the Zoom call. So if we have our subject filling up most of the frame, we're no longer answering questions about our surroundings. We're answering questions about the subject themselves. How are they moving? How are they talking? What are their little tics that they do? Are they messing with their hair? Are they fidgeting? Are they laughing? Are they in love? Are they looking at each other? What is this subject doing? What did they look like? What do they care about? Then we're moving in on details about the subjects themselves. This might be hands. This might be putting a partner putting a hand on the small of the other partner's back, how their hands touch. It can be them putting a shoe on. These are details about the subjects themselves. The 5th and final shot is B-roll. The way I think of B-roll is what the subjects notice around them. So a B-roll shot pulls away from the subjects. We're no longer answering questions about them, but we're answering questions about their environment, what it is that they are seeing. So this pulls away from the main action, but it finishes telling the story of the scene. So when we move through each scene of an elopement or wedding, thinking about these 5 shots while prioritizing photos at the same time, it does 2 things. It forces us to not be overwhelmed thinking photo, video, what do I shoot? What do I shoot? Instead, we're thinking about how do I tell the best possible story? It's no longer separating the mediums. It's no longer worrying about if we're getting the right shots or what we're going to have later. It's distilling it down to what makes this possible and how do I get this done in the simplest way possible. Now, when we get into an actual day, you might be thinking, Shay, you're insane. Do you really think that I can do this by myself on an elopement day or with a really small 2-person team on a wedding day? And my answer is yes, because I've been doing this for about a decade now. And in this first year or two, it might mean delivering a product that has no sound, that it's just to music. It might mean delivering a video that is only 60 to 90 seconds long. Whatever it means to you, it's time to get out of a space of let me list all of the ways that this is impossible and I can't make this happen, and move into a space of what would it mean for this to be possible? What would it mean for my business and my workflow and what I can reasonably accomplish and promise a client? Once you get into that headspace, then it moves you toward action instead of anxiety. On an actual elopement or wedding day, we understand as professionals that there are sections of the day that require different parts of our brains and different types of coverage. So for getting ready coverage, whether it's an elopement or a wedding, this is a lot more candid, fly on the wall coverage for more people than it is portraiture or editorial coverage. So in moments like this, to me, it's actually a lot easier to pull back and really think about those 5 shots that we just went over. But we also understand that there's a lot of dynamics and mood shifts in our work where we have to switch to the other hat. So, for example, at getting ready time, one moment you might be far away from the action, trying to get candids of everybody filling up each other's drinks and toasting. And the next, they might turn to you and ask for a posed portrait together. I am less likely to worry about hybrid shooting in those moments. If someone's asking for a posed picture, then you're prioritizing the photo and moving on. We have to shift our expectations from wanting everything to be perfectly captured in one medium or the other. We know there are times of the day, even moment to moment, that are going to work better for photo or video. And family photos is my biggest example of that. I am barely ever toggling over to video during family portrait time. So shifting back to the getting ready portrait, solo coverage to me, because of my final product, I understand that I actually don't need a ton of video coverage of getting ready time. It's really looking out for moments of interest to fulfill to that final story in the edit. So I'm not stressing the entire time about shifting from photo to video. It's mostly just making sure I'm telling that dynamic story. Where this can get a little tricky is when you think about those bigger weddings with a bigger team. If you're working with a 2-person team and you have someone who you trust that you can quickly teach your expectations on hybrid shooting or give them homework when you're separated during getting ready time, it's really easy if you have a game plan to just ask that they get 5 shots rather than saying, can you please get photo and video during getting ready time? Don't freak out your second shooters, just give them homework and expectations. If I'm sending a second shooter over to one partner while I'm staying with the one that I'm covering for the morning, I'm not saying, please hybrid shoot. I'm saying, hey, can you make sure you get a 5-second clip, very steady, of the shoes? Can you make sure you get that partner adjusting in the mirror with video, their tie or necklace or whatever they're wearing? Give specific instructions for those 5 clips for your second. My method with the two-person team is that when you are separated, both people are doing hybrid coverage. When you're together, one person's prioritizing photo, the other person's prioritizing video, and that works really, really well for a wedding day. After getting ready time, when I go to a first look, that is where people get really, really tripped up. And that's the first instance of this next thing I want to talk about is setting expectations for coverage of time-sensitive moments versus controlled moments. So a controlled moment to me are moments where you are able to pose or prompt the client. A time-sensitive moment is a moment where that is not appropriate. So for a first look or a first kiss at the ceremony or somebody's formal dance at the reception, these aren't moments where it's appropriate for you to ask them to repeat something or to do something in a hyper specific way that's just for aesthetics, right? So when we're going into this first look, we have to rely on our communication with our clients about expectations for the final product. So we're not promising time sensitive things when you're hybrid shooting by yourself. If you are alone hybrid shooting during a first look, for example, and you're getting paid thousands of dollars for photos, it's likely you're able to get a quick clip of one partner walking to the other. It's likely you're able to get a quick clip of the immediate aftermath of the other partner turning around and seeing them. It's unlikely with a one camera setup that you will get that exact moment on photo and video. You have to prioritize one or the other until you're comfortable, double fisting, for lack of a better word. I have plenty of photographers in my orbit who shoot iPhone content or Super 8 or camcorder at the same time that they're snapping photos. But in this practicing phase, I don't want you overwhelming yourself. I want you to think, I am only prioritizing photo for time sensitive moments, and I'm toggling to video during controlled moments, and anything extra I get is icing on the cake. Because in that editing room, you're going to be able to cut something together that's really nostalgic and beautiful for your client. You don't need to stress about missing clips. But if you're being paid a lot for photo and video is just a simple add-on, then you might be stressing that you missed some photos. So hopefully that makes sense. With a two-person team, this gets a lot easier. One person is prioritizing that video coverage, and the other person is prioritizing the photo. And some pushback I get on this sometimes is, okay, Shay, but I like the other angle of the other partner. I totally hear you. This is just practice of getting really fast at toggling back and forth because the person who's prioritizing video can usually quickly toggle to photo and get a couple of photos from the other angle and then switch back to video. When we get into ceremony coverage, this is where I get excited because we really overcomplicate this sometimes and get scared about it when it's one of the simplest, most formulaic parts of any wedding or elopement. As far as A-roll goes, meaning the main shot from that ceremony, literally a tripod can do that job. So if you have a camera that you can set on a tripod at the very back of the aisle, that's just that main shot of the couple and possibly couple plus officiant, that can be running through the entire ceremony. And then your only job, if you're solo, is to really prioritize your photos for the rest of that ceremony and make sure from each angle that you're trying to get those 5 clips we talked about at the beginning. If you're trying to get those 5 clips in every scene, you're totally fine. If you have at least one clip represented from each moment or each scene, when you get into the editing room, you're going to be a happy camper. Especially for ceremony, really think about that again. That wide shot, long shot of the couple, close up or extreme close up, details, and then B-roll. So that B-roll can be of the guests, like crying, or if it's an elopement, the peaks of the mountain, how the light is hitting on leaves, any dew or raindrops that are falling down, wildlife that's running around. There's so much we can do to tell this dynamic story and then cut back to that A-roll of the camera on the tripod. And it's really, really easy when you think of it this way, I promise. For that two-person team, When you're back together for the ceremony and one person's prioritizing photo, one's prioritizing video, your third man is that camera on the tripod. So the person prioritizing video, especially for processional, I think it's kind of nice when they're tracking the partner who's walking down the aisle. And once again, if they have that shot for 5 to 10 seconds, then they can switch to photo and get that secondary shot that like is really beautiful to have in a gallery, but probably isn't as prioritized as the shot from the main shooter at the front of the aisle, getting the partner's reaction. So to me, anything that's an absolute priority for photo, you ask your second shooter who's prioritizing video to try to toggle to get those secondary shots that are nice to haves, but not the main priority. First kiss, it's the same as working with any videographer. You make a plan for beforehand. I typically like the videographer to be right behind the photographer. When I'm the video person, I like to put a hand on the photographer's left shoulder, and we're both like snuggling up for second shot and then tracking down the aisle as they walk back down. When you work together in this way, you can feel super confident that you're telling a really beautiful, well-rounded story for photo and video. The last thing I want to get into, so I'm not droning at you this entire time, I really want to get into conversations and Q&A. But portrait time is such a beautiful, safe time to practice photo and video without worrying that you're gonna fuck up something important. So during portrait time, I want you to really look at yourself and think about what feels easy when you're toggling between photo and video and what you can work on. This is a really beautiful opportunity to practice, especially if you're not selling video yet. So you can, whatever your style is, you can put your couple into a prompt or a pose. Or if it's more documentary style, lead them to whatever activity they're doing and encourage them. And then just notice within yourself how it feels to get those wide shots, long shots, close-ups, details, and B-roll, photo and video, and what doesn't feel good, so that each time you can refine your process in a way that feels good for how you shoot. The last thing I want to end on before we get into as much Q&A as you guys can handle, I'm here for you as long as you want, is I know there's a lot of worry and anxiety around missing something, or your photo's not being good, or your video's not being good enough. And the thing is that we are the harshest critics of our own work and our own process because we are in it always 24/7. And it's very, very easy to feel judgmental of our work and to feel judgmental of the quality of our work and feel like it's not worth money. I want to give you the encouragement right now to just start creating something when it comes to hybrid shooting and with video, and to really take the challenge of not assigning worth to the thing and letting your clients in the market do that for you. Because a client who looks at these videos that you're able to do during hybrid shooting and wants to buy them for one, two, three, four, $5,000, who wants these simple highlight films because it's in your style and it's more aligned with their personality and what they want for their weddings. If they look at your portfolio that you're creating with practicing this method and they want to buy the thing, your only responsibility is to deliver something that is at the same quality level or exceeds that quality level. It's not about if you personally think it's the best thing in the world. It's about serving your clients and going from there and just trusting yourself enough to grow your business. All right, that was a lot. I want to open the door up for Q&A. I'm so excited you're all here. I'm so honored you're here. Jules, hello. How are
Hey,
you?
good. How are you?
Great. Tell me everything. What brings you here? How does this feel? What's coming up for you?
You sent an email and I was like, oh, fun. I've been thinking about photo and video. So great email marketing. A plus. But yeah, I feel like a lot of times, so I do photo and I've been seeing, especially recently, a lot of people are going with someone else because they have a photo video team. And I'm like, how the heck am I going to incorporate that into my business? Thinking like I have to find a videographer to go alongside me. But that's super cool that you can do it just side by side as like you having a second photographer with you doing it. That's really smart. And um, I'm curious how you go about like the pricing of it. Like, how are you adding that into it? Are you just adding it into your base package and having it always included, or are you having it as an add-on? Or yeah, I'm curious about that part.
Okay, I love all of this, and the answer is all of the above slash whatever you want. So the way my personal business works is I'm delivering so much. Like these are larger productions than I suggest in the practicing phase.
Mhm.
So photo coverage is a base price, video coverage is a base price, and then I offer photo video um, at a discount. So it's like almost double, subtract $500 basically. So it incentivizes clients who want photo video to book us for both because it is slightly cheaper than if they were to hire two separate teams. Now,
Mhm.
if you're starting out and just wanting a really simple highlight film to be an add-on, I think that's a great place to start, and that's where most photographers seem to feel most comfortable, is promising like a 2 to 5 minute highlight film from the day and assigning a number to that upsell. And for that, that is where the boring, nerdy market research comes in, right? So I always suggest if you're in this phase, to look at your market and look at the competition. And most people hear competition and they think, no, these are my friends. Like we're in community. I don't want to be in competition with anybody. When I say competition, all I mean is look at who else your clients might be inquiring with for a similar service, see what these people are charging and what they're delivering, and compare that to what you are willing and able to deliver, and just make sure you're in line with the market so that you're not undercutting anybody or charging something so much higher than everyone that you're not even in
Mhm.
the running to be chosen. With that
Yeah.
said, then it's also making sure that that number that you come up with will not be resented if people book it. So if you're adding on a
Right.
really short highlight film for say $2,000, and whenever that gets booked, you feel like you don't have enough time to edit it and it feels really stressful, time to up the prices. I'm very vibes
Mhm.
based with my approach. It's a mix of science and vibes.
Yes, no, I totally hear that because I was started working with a videographer and she was telling me that she kind of doesn't love video because she started with photo. She's like, the editing is really getting to me. I'm like, okay, well, we need to up your prices then. And because it sounded like I mean, it is a lot of work. I don't know. What do you use are you using DaVinci
So
Resolve or?
I'm a Premiere Pro girl, but I have plenty of
Okay.
students who use DaVinci or Final Cut.
Okay. One other question. I'm sorry. And then I'll let someone else
Don't
ask
be
the
sorry,
question.
I'm loving this.
Are you miking them up when you're doing just a highlight film, or are you kind of just like doing it without any voiceovers?
Yes, so I personally do mic up my clients, but I have plenty of students who have found a ton of success with doing no sound at all. So it's all personal
Oh, okay.
preference. I have one student who sells over $100,000 of Super 8 upsells per year, has never mic'd up a client.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Okay, that's amazing. Sweet.
I love
I think
it.
that's
Thank
all
you,
I have right
Jules.
now.
And
Yeah.
then Jules and everybody else, please, please, please DM me at Hybrid Hangout as well. I want to talk with you all one-on-one about your businesses and what you're thinking. But yeah, nobody be shy. Please turn on your cameras, unmute, tell me where you're at, what you're thinking. Not to hot seat anybody, but Kaylee, based off of the what I just went through, with how I personally hybrid shoot weddings and elopements. Do you have any thoughts or questions based off of that?
As far as second shooters go, I'm assuming you're finding people that already know how to do video rather than teaching them.
You would think so, but no.
Oh,
I live in a market where there's like no videographers. So if I'm finding a second shooter, which I'm more likely to call them an associate and pay them as an associate, For my personal business, I'm typically hiring photographers and giving them a quick crash course on my expectations for any video clips they're doing. Because it's really the points of the day where you're separate, where they even have to worry about it. And that's typically like getting ready. I can't really think of a lot of points of the day where you're that separate other than getting ready, so it doesn't stress me out that much. But on those days when we're together, I am taking responsibility for the majority of the video.
Right, right.
But when I'm suggesting hybrid shooting solo too, especially in this practicing phase, the deliverable you're promising is probably a really simple film, where you might not need the assistant to worry about video at all.
Yes, absolutely. Sounds good.
Awesome. Emily, anything on your mind? Emily here is already an amazing working videographer, and we're working more on getting you more hybrid work.
Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
It's really cool to hear like your process because you started video and then added photo, but I am photo first and adding video. And I'm just curious about because I hear different people from each like side of the industry say that once they've tried the other, that they learned and approached a wedding day differently.
Yeah.
Do you like see, was there like a difference once you added photo where you were like, oh my gosh, now I have more of an understanding for photo and like how we can work that in together? Is that like making
Yes,
sense?
absolutely. I think the thing I didn't have as much of an appreciation for that now I really, really love, is more like editorial posing. Like I would, as of when I was video only for like the first 2, 3 years of my business, nothing would be more annoying to me than the more traditional photographers that would bring lights on site and would have the couple in the same place for like 20, 30 minutes at a time. But getting more into photo and appreciating the art of posing and the art of photography, made me appreciate that a lot more. And it also helped me with my mindset on video only days. Just from doing both of understanding like you are not a failure and you're not lazy if there's huge chunks of the day that you're just not filming. Because I think that would like bother me more because I felt like I wasn't doing anything and not shooting anything. Whereas now, deeper into my career, whatever, like they're not paying me to be like constantly looking like I'm busy the whole time. They're paying me for a beautiful final product that reminds them of the day that they had.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I love that question. Okay, we have so many people who, some names I recognize that I'm so excited you're here. You might just be here for the fun podcast vibes, but don't be shy if you want to turn your camera on or even just unmute and ask a question. I am here for you as long or as short as you want, and you can also always DM me too. Okay, I love it. We had a quick one today, and you are all my guinea pigs for the new podcast, Hybrid Hangout. I'm so honored that you all came. I want to do more live, very specific topic focused classes like this. And I hope you'll all keep joining me and keep being thoughtful and asking so many questions. I'm here for you all the time. Um, and I don't gatekeep, and I will tell you literally everything I know and don't know and everything I do. Oh, we have Charlotte.
Hi.
Hi, how
I
are
don't know
you?
what good. I don't know what's happening with my Zoom. I joined up for your course quite a few years ago, and I still haven't jumped the step. I think it's because I'm just so busy with wedding photography. How do you manage your lead time?
Lead time as in editing time?
Yeah, like do people give you grace to do the photos and then do the video later, or yeah, how does that sort of work?
Yes, that's a beautiful question. And first of all, what Charlotte's referencing is in 2019, I had a course called Videography for Photographers. That was my baby for years and years and years. And now at the rebrand, it's called Hybrid Hub. And I don't know if any of you were like this, but I have so many instances where I have bought a shit ton of courses every time I felt like I wanted to learn something. And then you get that like dopamine hit because you feel like you did something by buying something and then you never freaking do it. I've done that so many times. Um, and so no judgment there, Charlotte. I totally get it. But I am so excited about this new program because it's a community and group coaching all rolled in with the course. And so these people do not get a break from me bugging them, which I'm obsessed with. And so now with having all this accountability rolled in, I'm hearing from these photographers all the time as they're working through it. So Charlotte, to your question, as far as getting grace with delivery times, what I do is my contract, I believe, says 8 to 10 weeks for photo and then 15 weeks for video. What I'm actually kind of psychotic about delivering my photos as soon as humanly possible. So I don't even get close to that contract date. And then my video deliveries are always actually pretty close to that contracted time. So I really over deliver with getting my photos out as soon as possible. To me, my photography work is not that fancy. I'm like pretty much a factory worker when it comes to photos, and I'm watching reality TV the whole summer while I'm editing. Video, like I'm like very locked in. I have my noise canceling headphones on. It's dark in my house and I have to be focused the whole time. My clients, I'm very, very communicative with my clients. Like they always understand where I'm at in the process. And when people are asking for things sooner, it's always just like a gentle, yeah, the expediting fee is $1,000. If you want to do that, then I can absolutely push this up and do it within a week. So that's typically how I handle that.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I've still on my bucket list, but I just haven't got there yet. But I still inspired by you on Instagram and your podcast, and yeah, one day I hope to
One
get there.
day. Charlotte, don't be shy. Please, please, please DM me if you ever have any questions at all. I've got you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Melissa came on late. She had work. So there will kind of be a replay. This is for the podcast, so it's going to be posted next week as a podcast episode. Awesome. Hi, Teresa. You're welcome. Okay, well, I just think you're all beautiful, gorgeous, adorable. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for coming to the first one. You helped me rip off the Band-Aid for these live episodes. And I want to get them, I want to do things that excite you guys and just speak directly to what you're working on in your photo businesses. So please don't be shy about emailing me and DMing me everything you want to hear from me. And I can't wait to chat soon. I'm going to be bugging you on Instagram. I want to hear what you're all up to. And look out for the first recorded episode of the Hybrid Hangout podcast on Friday. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right, it's time for listener voice note, which is exactly what it sounds like. You DM me a voice memo, I put it in the podcast, voice memo, podcast, and then I answer it on air like we're gossiping over the phone. Ask me anything: hybrid photo, video, business, pricing, editing, marketing, confidence, selling, literally whatever. What? Ask me anything. Whatever. What? If you want to be featured, DM me a voice note. Okay, hit play.
All right, this is from Courtney.
Where do we even start? Like, if I'm a photographer already, like, where do I start from that? Or if I'm not even a photographer, if I just want to go, like, balls to the wall, jump head first and do photo and video, like, where would I even start? What would I do?
All right, I love this question because it's one I get probably the most often. Where I would absolutely recommend starting if you're a photographer who wants to add video, is you need to just get clips with the equipment you're already using. I don't care if that's the camera you're using for photos or if it's just with your iPhone. The number one way to serve your clients and vendors is by delivering video clips that you don't even edit after these events that they can use for social media. The number one way to serve yourself for your video content marketing is to practice getting these clips and using them to market your existing offers. The number one way to be able to practice editing is to get these video clips at your existing sessions and then practice editing. Whether you think you got too few clips or if you don't think the quality is there, you will only get better with reps and practicing. So I would just start with what you have and dive right in. If you want to send me a voice note just like that, then you can head over to my Instagram at Hybrid Hangout and DM me a voice note.
Hot take. I had a strong reaction to this. I'm a Cancer. I felt sad or annoyed or frustrated or abnormally excited. I felt strongly. So obviously I have to talk it through. I have feeling. I have feeling. Oh my god, podcast equipment is not expensive enough. Throw me in jail with the men who keep buying microphones, phones, and terrorizing the world with their shitty opinions. Is this really that important? Do we actually need to care this much? Everyone needs less opinions. It's a hot take segment. Let's go, I guess.
Here's a hot take. More cameras and more angles don't make you a better hybrid shooter. Most of the time, it just makes you more stressed, your edit more complicated, and the day feel way more like a production than it needs to. I think a lot of photographers assume hybrid has to be harder because they're picturing a huge setup, so like multiple shooters, constant filming, trying to capture every second, a ton of tech and gear, and going crazy. That's where photographers burn out before they even start. In my experience, hybrid shooting isn't harder. It just forces you to be more intentional. You can't rely on overshooting photos, hoping you'll figure it out later. You actually have to think about what each shot is doing for the story. And the funny thing is, when you start shooting this way, your photo galleries get better because you're seeing scenes more clearly instead of just reacting and pressing the shutter button the whole time. So instead of adding more gear and more coverage, the better approach is learning a simple framework and what to capture in each moment.
Okay, next segment, Media Recs. This is where I recommend what I'm consuming. Books, podcasts, videos, movies, the stuff I'm obsessed with. Let me influence you. Like, no, seriously, let me influence you. I'm your influencer. I'm telling you what to watch and what to listen to because it's making me strong. I'm telling you what to watch and what to listen to because it's making me smarter, hotter, more creative. And now I'm forcing it on you. Listen to me. Read the book. Watch the movie. Listen to the podcast. I'm not asking. Creative. Strong. Okay, here are my media recs.
Today's media rec is a bit broad because I think everyone will benefit from this differently. I would love for you to watch a really, really beautiful aesthetic movie and take notes on the framing and what each shot does to tell a story. Some ideas would be 2005 Pride and Prejudice. I really like the miniseries One Day on Netflix. Age of Adeline has some really beautiful framing and storytelling. Just watch something undeniably pretty that gets you thinking about what each shot does to tell the best possible story in that moment and what questions the choice of shot answers. So if the director chose to go really wide and hold that shot for a long time, what it tells you about time and space and climate. I promise that once you shift your thinking to storytelling and capturing your intention and capturing your intentional frame on photo and then switching to 5 to 10 seconds of a video clip, you will find hybrid shooting so fun and easy and also challenging in a good way, and your photo galleries will improve. DM me at Hybrid Hangout and tell me what movie you chose and also what shots inspired you.
Okay, next segment, shout out. This is where I give people flowers while they're alive. Like, wow, this person is great. Like, wow, this person is great. They're doing something innovative. They're doing something innovative or weird or cool, and I'm obsessed with them. This person is beautiful, we're just perfect. No notes, just flowers. I need everyone to know about them. Okay, shout out time.
Today, I want to give flowers to Emily from ETC Photography, who also runs Elevated Shoots. At Elevated Shoots, this July, they're putting together a retreat that has a whole series of styled shoots. This is going to be hosted in Crested Butte. I'd really love for you to apply. These shoots are intentionally inclusive and will feature LGBTQ plus models, which I think is really important and really cool. I'm actually going to be there. One of the reasons I wanted to highlight this is because styled shoots have been a huge part about how I experiment and push my hybrid work forward. Styled shoots are a safe environment to try new approaches, practice running photo and video at the same time, and figure out what works for you and then you can use those skills on a real wedding day. What I love about what Emily is doing is that she's creating space not just for pretty photos, but for people to practice, collaborate, and make the industry feel more representative. That is a reminder that growth doesn't just happen during client work. It happens in the room where you're safe to try new things. If you take one thing from this episode, it's that hybrid shooting doesn't require more coverage. It just requires more intention about what each shot is doing for the story. So at your next wedding, commit to trying the 5-clip approach in at least one part of the day. See how it changes the way you shoot and what you walk away with. Even if it just turns into short form video content, you are building your skill and growing your business. And if you're listening and thinking, okay, I really want help implementing this, then DM me at Hybrid Hangout on Instagram, and we can chat one-on-one about whether Hybrid Hub is the right move for your business. Chat soon.
Beautiful, gorgeous, perfect raccoon with a camera.